Kris Campbell here from the Digital Ramble, joined as always by JJ Cannon for episode 67.
67 Gamble. Oh my gosh, how fast has it gone? I mean, we do one of these almost every week. I mean, during the holiday seasons, I think we might have skipped one or two. But for the most part, we're out here every week trying to drop some knowledge bombs on how to improve our clients and how we actually do improve our clients' home technology environment.
Yeah, and that's always been a challenge for us. Every week we're trying to create content that's transferable to a homeowner. And that's tough for two guys that come from, purely industry focused, industry led over the years and consumed content from our industry. And, our industry is guilty of being very inward looking. And we've tried with this show to be outward looking and approachable and share knowledge and transfer knowledge to the wider audience, whether you're a homeowner, a professional, another trades person, or have a keen interest in home tech. So it is a challenge every week, but we rise to it, and we're excited every week when we tackle something because it expands our knowledge.
I love it, Gamble. I mean, this is going to be season 12, episode 67. So you want to be a home tech pro. And we're really going to be pulling the sheets, unraveling the onion per se of where we came from. Where are our origins? Kris and I, we've talked about the different experiences that we create, but we're going to go deep. This might actually be a two-part series that we're going to be releasing. And we're going to be talking about, where are our roots? How did we get into this business? What are some of the changes that we've seen in the industry, as well as personally as business owners, to get us to the point that we're at today?
Yeah, and it goes back many, many years. We've both been in this industry a long time, JJ much longer than myself, but it wasn't this industry when we started, and we'll talk about that. This is a new industry, home tech pros, smart home professional, all these new buzz terms for what we do. It wasn't that in the beginning, and we'll talk about where it was in the beginning. But as always, if you want to catch up with any of the content that we've created over the years, the best place is our website, digitalrambleshow.com, or look on all the platforms where we host our videos and our podcasts: YouTube, Facebook, 11 different podcast platforms, and the content's there forever. So we're really excited that you can access episode 1 or episode 66 if you want to catch up with what we did last week. And last week was an awesome episode. We got great views on both Facebook and also great listens on the podcast again this week.
Yeah, man. Last week was a fantastic week. It was season 12, episode 64. No, well, let's see. Where were we? 66. Using technology during the lockdown. Yeah. My gosh, man. Everybody's at home, sitting around, and they're really not sitting around. They're being very, very productive, creating content, working remotely. My kids, oh my goodness, they are actually thriving in their schoolwork because, to be honest, Gamble, I'm of the nature that can't be stationary in one place, or I get a little stir crazy. And with our kids being able to be out of that, institutional cage, per se, they can work in a group environment, collaborate through the technology, and really, I'm seeing them thrive and enjoy their education. Something completely different, and I think it's a silver lining. I don't know how long it'll last. Maybe it might guide our education into a different direction. Who knows what's to come of it? But please tune in if you didn't catch last week's episode, using technology during this lockdown. Please go ahead after this one and check it out.
Yeah. So, and also a big thank you to our Patreons. We appreciate that support still coming in at these crazy times we're living in. So appreciate all the Patreons. And if you want to support the show for as little as $1 a month, go to patreon.com and just search for the Digital Ramble.
Yeah, and if you're wondering who are these two crazy guys, I'm JJ Cannon, CEO of Digital Delight here in the Houston, Texas area, where we create incredible experiences through technology for homeowners as well as small commercial applications. And I also have a master's degree in getting knocked down and getting back up.
Well, we're hoping to hear a lot more of that as well in this episode. My name's Kris Gamble. I am the founder and co-owner of a business called Customized. We are a home technology installation business based in the east of England. We cover all of that area, which is a huge patch. Plus, we do a lot of work in London as well. And you can find out more about us really by following us on Instagram at Customized1.
All right, Gamble, you ready to get into this episode?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. You know, Gamble, I started my business back in 1999, and that was a year after I got married. And my wife and I, we were living in Dallas, and I used to work in the club environment. But I was always, prior to that, I was very handy with like technology. I was the kid that could set the VCR clock. And, you know, a lot of people had challenges trying to figure out how to set that stinging clock. I was also the kid that you could hear coming down the road. My grandma used to always say, "Mijo, I could hear you down at the light," you know, because I had one of those cars that, you know, had a large audio system. And on the weekends, I loved taking out, you know, the seats and the carpet and running the wires and building the boxes and figuring out the ohm load and the power and the capacitors and all the details of how to make a good car audio system. You know, the other thing that I think inspired me as a kid were, you know, my dad was an early adopter of camcorders, and he bought this giant camcorder system that it was a 2-person rig. You know, he had to carry the camcorder, and it had a long kind of XLR cable and like a microphone cable that went to this carrying case that held the battery and the recorder. And I was his assistance or his assistant, and I got to lag behind him and carry that behind him. But man, just so many memories, you know, doing that with my father. And I guess the other one was at church. I was it was when PAs and sound systems and things like that were starting to pop in the churches, and churches started to invest in the quality of cameras and microphones and things of that nature. And so I volunteered at our church to work the board in the back to help amplify and mic up the choir and the pianist, and I really got a good feeling and excitement about technology and connecting all that stuff together. And I found that whenever I started looking inward, like, what is something that I want to do, you know, as an adult? And I'm recently married. I went to a little bit of community college, but, you know, doing the full 4-6 year plan just wasn't right for me. And I started looking inward and reflecting on things that really made me excited inside. And I was looking through the paper one day and came upon a company that actually installed satellite systems. And that's pretty much my history of at least stumbling upon the industry accidentally, because prior to that, I didn't even know you could make money installing electronics, especially in somebody's house. And that's kind of like my build up to what got me to the starting line, Gamble. And how about yourself? How did you get influenced or excited as a kiddo? Or, you know, where did you really start finding some inspiration and self-searching to get you to the starting line per se?
Yeah, I think I was always pretty techie. Enjoyed number crunching, maths challenges, that kind of stuff at school, physics, but wasn't a techie. Wasn't into building computers. Wasn't into gaming. You know, as a kid, it was sport, football, athletics, and that was what I spent most of my evenings doing after school. But I had obviously an aptitude for crunching numbers and just soaked up tech related stuff without even thinking about it too hard. But I think when I left school is when I started tuning into my technical abilities. So first I had a job working as a civil engineer's technician, as a draftsman, so doing technical drawings, so very attention to detail, drawing up schematics for new bridges, road junctions, big drainage schemes for projects in the north of Scotland where I was living. where I grew up, and that probably would have been my career path. May have been on that right now and become a civil engineer, but the business I joined let some staff go following a merger, and unfortunately, which I still think was a bit controversial, to let the apprentices go, but they let the younger people go in the business, kept the experience, and I found myself without a job. And it wasn't that easy to find a job at the time. So this was 99, because, you know, there's some synergy there. You started your business in 99. Found myself out of work in 1999, only 20 years old. And I took a big plunge and joined the military, joined the Royal Air Force, which is a big step for me, to move away from family, friends, to the other side of the country and do some basic training and then some technical training. And this is where my technical abilities flourished more, I think. Is I was an electronics technician in the Royal Air Force, and that specialized in repair and installation and commissioning of communication equipment used in airfields, used in air traffic control, used in communication situations that are needed in the military for either long distance or short distance communication. And later, during my career in the military, I specialized in infrastructure like fiber optic cabling, data cabling, networks, running hundreds of wires in a building and taking them back to a big rack, and dealing with all the termination of the equipment and the equipment that was needed at the desk, the PC, the secure telephone, and all this kind of stuff. So got a really good foundation and training in the military. It put my standards up quite high. Documentation's always been important to me. And in 2008, I started Customize. So I'd left the military then and was married and decided to start my own business, providing communication services to businesses, telephone, computer networks, security, access control. But I started to see this new trend appearing, 08, 09, 2010, and I started tuning in more to what was going to be available in the home. And that's the direction I obviously take now. But it was around about 2008, 9 that I started to focus more on what could I do in the home with the same skills? What could I transfer to the home instead of being with everybody else in this melting pot of business service providers? Why don't I find a niche in the home?
Yeah. You know, we were up in Dallas, and in Dallas I was working in the club environments, and decided, you know, I was just married, figured that wasn't the right place for me, or, you know, if I was going to start a family, maybe I should look in a different area, and happened upon a job for a guy that was installing satellite systems, and so was hired on by him, and we started, and this is when satellites, the small little dishes, were just starting to come online, and they were the Sony dishes, and I think Prime Star was coming out, and in the hood they called it Crime Star. So we were putting a lot of those in, and taking down these giant C-band dishes. It was a lot of fun for a young kid. I was 21 at that time, and just learning something new and something exciting. And I went home, and we were also installing a lot of Bose systems. And in Dallas, there was
Was it Digital Delight? Was that the name of the company early on?
No, the company that was in Dallas. I don't remember the name of the company that I was working for up in Dallas, but they were also installing Bose surround sound systems, the one of the original lifestyle systems back in the day. And it also opened my understanding up that not only was there's opportunity in installing satellite dishes, but also installing surround sound systems. And we weren't originally from Dallas. We were from Houston, and I moved up there for work. And I said, honey, you know what? I think I'm young enough. I think we could probably make a go at this on our own. So let's move back to Houston. Let's move in with your parents or my parents. We lived with both whenever we were starting out. And let's see if we can start a business and give it a go. And that's what we did. And so we
And
packed up.
that was Digital Delight, yeah.
Yeah. And so when we moved,
This has been a long running brand, Digital Delight.
yeah, Digital Light brand has been out. Gamble, come June, it'll be 21 years that we've been in business, and it's always been Digital Delight from the inception. The only thing that has changed is the services that we have provided. And when I came into Houston, I tried my hand at satellite dishes, and it was okay. But really where we flourished was a relationship with Bose. And we found a fantastic manufacturer that had a lot of opportunity for installing surround sound systems. We also went out and hustled all the Radio Shacks at the time, as well as satellite installation for satellite service providers, and they needed installation guys to go out that could do some good quality work for them. And so I hustled everybody that I could find to try to generate up enough work, because there wasn't the internet back then. There was not. Yeah, I mean, the cell phones were just now starting to come out as something that was available, and there was the internet. Don't get me wrong, but nothing like what we have access today. And so we went out and hustled all those different opportunities, looked through the green sheets to see what kind of opportunities were there, and I was making bandit signs, and bandit signs were these signs, and it had Digital Delight on there. The logo is completely different than what you see on the hat now. And we would sit them in front of neighborhoods. So these new neighborhoods that people were driving in, if you want surround sound, call JJ. Or we'd find a telephone pole at a stoplight and hammer up our bandit signs there, and kept our fingers crossed that they'd last, 2 or 3 weeks before the city came by and ripped them down. And that's essentially how we started our business, and just off of pure hustle, pure sweat, pure getting out there, communicating with people that didn't even know there was an industry that existed, to help them with connecting their VCR, because the VCRs were still necessary, connecting satellite dishes, maximizing the connectivity of their stereo systems at the time. And then as they started seeing the value of having an automation integration guy, they started asking more questions of what else was there available. And as time and technology expanded and grew, so was the ability of our business to expand and to grow into a lot of different offerings, which really started to come into getting educated. So I started out with, kind of on the job training.
Mm-hmm.
And after getting on the job training and then finding manufacturers and distributors, I learned that there was actually an underground industry, and it's still kind of underground.
What year are you talking now? Like 05,
so that was
06?
99. That's probably 05, 06. And that actually it was 05 that I stumbled upon kind of an underground industry of other people like myself. And that organization was Cedia. And from there, I went on to Cedia and started getting educated into other things. And really, my eyes started opening of other offerings that we could offer our clients. And that was probably 05, 06.
So going back though, that 99 to 05, 06, I can just imagine the hustle, the hours that went in, the late nights working at the kitchen table, plotting and planning the next steps. And trust me, this doesn't end. You never end the hustle. You might make it a little bit more refined, and you might look a bit more polished in your hustle. But if you're running a business, it's hustle 100%, 24/7.
Yeah, the graph of hustle is kind of
like and it's once it gets a grip of you, it either takes a grip of you and chews you up and spits you out, or you you start to enjoy the hassle and buzz off the hassle. And that was what I felt, my first few years of being self-employed, my own boss, running. At the time, the business was called Customized Home and Office, because we had like a dual offering of business services and home services. But I talked about focusing in on the home around 08, 09, 10. It came off the back of my wife and I building our own house. We did a full self-build, completely hands-on. I took 6-7 months away from work, and I was working for another business at the time. But when the house was completed, that was the day I started Customized. But that house gave me this blank canvas to run wires, to future ready the home, start to investigate multi-room music, start to investigate distributing video around the house, starting to investigate home security options. And I then discovered Cedia as well. About 2009, 10, I started to go deep into the training that they offered and got certification, and was very highly supportive of what that organization was doing. And it was invaluable to me as a new start to tap into their knowledge base, because there wasn't, apart from the manufacturers and the suppliers to the industry, there wasn't anything that was overarching. There wasn't anything that was vendor neutral or business owner friendly. It was all about sell. Here's the tech. I'm like, well, I'm not really interested in that. I know what I want to sell, but I want to learn more about running a business. So that's where Cedia became an important part of the early years of Customized.
Yeah, and Cedia, for those that don't know, and if you're interested in becoming a home technology professional, Cedia might be something that you might be interested in, especially with some of their different courses that they have to offer. But it's Custom Electronic Design and Installation Association, which is the acronym, or the acronym is Cedia for those words. And whenever I went to Cedia, I was taught by a gentleman, Frank White. And at the time, I didn't realize how deep this guy runs, and he still is an intricate part in Cedia, but he certified me as an integrator, and the way that he inspired people to want to be a part of the industry really, poured water on this young flower of a guy that really wanted to do some incredible things. And Frank taught me about RF distribution. He was actually the inventor of, kind of the matrix for big commercial applications. So if you go into like a box store and they have televisions and they're all showing the same picture on all the TVs, that's Frank White. The box that makes that happen, Frank and his firm invented that. Prior to that, there was no such a thing. And he was very inspiring. And then I started meeting and discussing with other integrators over the years, because I went back for years after years and, getting educated.
Talking about going to their trade show.
Yeah, going to the trade show. And their trade show is the Expo. And it happens in different areas once a year, predominantly in September. This year it's going to be in Denver, Colorado, but it happens just all over the country, just depending. But back in those days, it was predominantly in Indianapolis, where their headquarters was, at the RCA Dome. And but was taking educational courses on business and design and the wire management and marketing, and pretty much they were 2-day college crash courses on how to be a better business person. But also it allowed me to create a Rolodex of people from around the world that if I ever had a question, I could pick up the phone and make a call. Now that Rolodex has expanded to video conferencing or emails or, groups of people that we communicate with on a daily basis. But at that time of my career, it was very impactful, very necessary for the growth of what I was trying to become. And the industry back then, Gamble, was way different than it is today, and we'll get into that. So, but Cedia sounds like it was a pretty intricate part of your business growth as well at one time.
I wouldn't say it was part of the growth. I think it scratched an itch, or it gave me access to resources and other people that were doing what I did. Still felt very isolated where our business was. Look, the most northern business in our industry in the country.
Were you in Scotland at that time, or?
Yeah, so we were based in the Highlands of Scotland, so in the far-flung north of the country, and we're the most northerly based home technology business in the industry. But although our size was small and our footprint of our business and its financial side was very, very small, we started to make a lot of noise as a business, and myself as a business owner. And that was because at the same time as all this was happening, social media started to become a big part of business and private life. And, it just became part of society that you would have a Facebook profile and you would have a Twitter account and you would have a website. And I loved at the time, I still do, it's obvious I enjoy creating content and very prolific on social media. But at that time, I was on hyperdrive on Twitter.
Time. You've got to tell the story, Gamble. It just didn't go from business all of a sudden to social media. Something happened during that time that caused you to really look in and understand social media. Like you had to put a pause on business because something happened.
Yeah. I had an injury that I had to have an operation on, and the injury came when I was building the house. In fact, I damaged my foot, my left foot, and had to have an operation, which meant I couldn't walk around, I couldn't get about. So I was sofa bound, desk bound, sat out on the decking on a sunny day, and with the laptop out, started to look at creating my company's first Twitter account. Started my first website and built it myself. But Twitter just fascinated me, the access to network with 140 characters with all these other people around the globe, not just people in our industry, but I could communicate with a celebrity or a movie director or a sports star or somebody in the town where we serviced with our services, and tell them about how we can wall mount a TV or how we can install a telephone system for their business. So I thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start to use social media as a way to storytell and document what we did as a business. So I would start to take images and I would post them at night, and I didn't get the same impact that I hoped. I didn't get the impact I hoped. So I started doing them as I was working to catch the moment. And I needed a hashtag to tag all these images that people could find customized. So I thought, well, there's no point in being customized. It doesn't really conjure up anything. So I used hashtag live install. It's a live installation that you can see every day from our company. And it could be as something as simple as wall mounting a TV, but I would break it up step by step. This is what it looks like before. This is the wires gone in. This is the holes we needed to cut. This is the bracket fitted. This is the TV. This is the TV on the wall. This is it powered on. This is it handed over. This was $300, £300, whatever it was. And the reaction then was much better. That instant gratification arrived early. Twitter was hot anyway. And we would get dozens and dozens of retweets, dozens of comments and engagement. But what we found was we were also getting a lot of engagement from the industry. The industry was watching what we were doing. And that industry reach went as far as the USA, South Africa, Australia, Russia. There was installers saying, can I use this hashtag? Can I be a hashtag live installer? I said, of course, like just storytell. So it blew up for a period. It's not something that's relevant now, but it captured a moment, and put me up a few rungs up the ladder in terms of my personal branding, and it helped Customized be recognized more when we did go to industry gatherings and things like that. Our opinion was validated and heard.
Gamble, that is such an interesting story. And so there's so many things that whenever you first told me that story that I pulled out of it. And when we go into part 2, we're going to explore upon that a little bit more, and really kind of dial into what you did, because I really think that you still glossed over it. But you and I both did something at that time differently, but the same. And so we're going to really dive into that for these people that, maybe want to be a home technology professional. And so, friends, that's our episode for today. I'm JJ Cannon, CEO of Digital Delight, and this is my good friend, Kris Gamble.
And if you want to be retro, go and hashtag live install now.
And if you want to check out anything, that we're doing in our day jobs, for me, check out digitaldelight.com. For Gamble, check out customized.uk.com. And you can see really what we're all about on our day jobs. All right, friends, until next time, if you don't know, find yourself a home tech pro.